Fucking UVTV motherfucker. I'm at a kid spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Neon nigga for Featherman, yeah. And today I'm gonna be talking about what happens when you're actively trying to die young. The self-sabotage from not prime. The self-sabotage of dying prematurely. So when you end up dying prematurely, it's kinda like aborting something. The same way how actual abortions be happening. I'm not against what that is, but like it's kind of like you being in that state of being. You're acting out of energy. Oh, something dying prematurely, it's like a miscarriage, but like you're doing it spiritually, esoterically speaking. So it's kind of like blue balling yourself. You never actually released it. You never actually ejaculated. You never actually came or anything, right? You was on the verge of actually becoming or actually actualizing that potential, but then you end up stopping yourself in your tracks. So it's kind of like a spiritual self-sabotage, but just from you being in that state of being is going to result in your mentality. So let's say you have like a really good idea, ideology, or thought, or you know what I'm saying, like a big idea or something like that, right, of some type of passion or potential that you can actually actualize before you even get to the point of it actually becoming mature and stuff like that. Let's say it became like a little child being born and stuff like that, and then it went through its adolescence, and then it's actually about to become an adult, become 18, become 21, become mature. You end up dying and killing that thing off prematurely before you even actualize into its full potential and stuff like that. Because I know based upon Disney Channel, I know based upon societal norms, I know based upon Walt Disney and Warner Bros. And stuff like that, they be trying to put you on this perspective of live fast, die young and stuff like that, right? But from y'all living in this perspective, it's y'all working backwards. See, in general, when it comes to a lot of things that y'all be seeing based upon like mainstream television or being indoctrinated by what y'all learn from social studies and language arts and goddamn science class and psychology and sociology and all that type stuff. A lot of that is kind of built to make y'all more indoctrinated based upon them justifying of some capitalistic mind state or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just to capitalize off of something, and it's based upon business and a monetary gain. So it's not to say they ain't gonna make living conditions or make certain things to make it so that people can live and stuff like that. But the thing that's going to be the mainstream of consciousness, aka something that become mainstream, is always going to be backed and supported by some type of industry. It's always going to be backed and supported by some type of energy of how can we utilize this to make money off of it. And there's nothing wrong with that in itself, but it's going to end up gentrifying it, and it's going to end up polluting the purity of what it originally started as. That's why I started to turn into a thing of, oh, when an artist, when they was independent, they was fresh and new, they was just in the local scene. The minute it become mainstream, their music don't sound the same because they're trying to appeal to a mainstream artist, aka they're trying to appeal to people who are really strangers and not their core fan base or their original fan base and all that type of stuff. It's not to say they can't diversify, but they get away from the purity of what they had when they first started out. So they was working with more. I mean, they was working with less, but was able to be more abundant. They had more of that hunger because of them having left. But that's how you find the most purest things, like some new type of goals, some new type of value, some fruitful, high hanging fruit to where it's everlasting and it's more eternal and it's something that's gonna mature gracefully compared to you trying to pick on low hanging fruit or based upon instant gratification or killing off something prematurely type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it results into that live fast, die young type mentality. And I'm gonna get all into that, but I'm just breaking down or bringing up a whole bunch of different disclaimers to build y'all up into the energy of what this actually is. So it's like what I was saying before. It's like aborting something or you trying to. It's like an esoteric miscarriage. So it's literally like you prematurely killing something off before it was able to blossom into its fullest potential. You already done killed it off. So when you do that on a high percentage scale and stuff like that, you start to attract other individuals where it's kind of like those old people and stuff like that, right? Like your uncles and your aunties or your grandma and your grandfather and stuff like that. They start self-projecting onto you because you young and turnt or whatever, right? And you actually actualizing your potential and you chasing after your dreams and your passions and accomplishing your goals. And they start to self-project onto you and make you feel bad or make you feel guilty or make you feel you ain't shit or something like that. But really they're self-projecting onto you what they wasn't able to accomplish when they was your age based upon whatever reason. Oh, they had a kid. Oh, life was happening. They kept on feeling like, oh, because all this stuff is happening in my life, like responsibilities and me being an adult and all these different circumstances and things of that nature, I'm not able to still chase after those things. Even though just because you had a kid or just because those things are happening, don't mean you can't make a pocket to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like you always have to make room to to have something for yourself and stuff like that? Why you think people be having their own rooms and stuff like that, like the master bedroom, and then the kids got their own rooms and stuff like that? You have that on a external scale when it comes to your household, and you also have that in an internal scale. Okay, you have your own mind, right? So you like to have your space to yourself. That's you having your own mind. So based upon you having your own mind and you have something to yourself, you have your own worldview and your own subjective point of view. And it can be a part of the overall world, but you're always going to have your own world and how you observe and how you view things and stuff like that. So that's why it's important to always clean out your room, or clear, esoterically speaking, spiritually speaking, clean out that space so you have more room and more space to basically you know what I'm saying? You move more freely. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel all crunched up. You don't feel like you have that spiritual backing against the wall and things of that nature, right? You're not getting lost into the expectation energy of what other people expect from you, and just it's just you being you. And then if people have a certain expectation, that's here nor there. But you always gonna move freely as a spirit, and you're able to put yourself in a whole bunch of different spaces and create and produce more, instead of you producing something and is in this magic square, or is in this column, or is in this particular way, schedule and pattern routine, and you end up becoming mad predictable out of you yeah, like anything that you was seen as when it comes to your unpredictable natures ends up becoming predictable, or is getting put into a shape and form, and then now people are expecting this of you, and then they, you know what I'm saying, like you have to actually put yourself in a scenario where it's like expecting the unexpected. Oh, I'm able to create a new mind state in things of that nature. I can create another way of how to look at it. I can create another way of feeling. I can create another spectrum. I can create another awareness outside of the awareness of what I was already in. So expanding my mind about something just in general, and not being condensed and crushed, or being into that letdown energy of you trying to pluck from my fruit and things of that nature. So before it even becomes like super ripe and fruitful and things of that nature, you're trying to pluck from it. You're trying to energy vampire me. You like, oh, okay, you can only actualize your potential, but only to this magnitude and to this degree, but it can't go any further than that and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like it go really deep. But just in general, right, a lot of these things start with you first. That's why when it comes to young, it has that you word in there. So like when you start out young, it always starts with you. So once you start out, you know what I'm saying, like the most naturalist like abilities, the most natural essence of what something is, and then essence just translates into the eternal sense, or spiritual currency. So the same way how you get cents from a dollar and things of that nature, and also like an esoteric scent. So is it going to perform a perfume or an odor, because your spirit got a scent to it and stuff like that. So you know how you be around certain people vibe and stuff like that, and then some people have some really alluring perfume. So look at that, like charisma or like charm. And then some people have some fart clouds. Some people have a body odor about them, but not like physically speaking. It's just spiritually speaking, even though it can result into the physical odors of how you smell somebody and stuff like that. So it's like they spirits thing. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of degenerate ass mentalities that they keep on actualizing. Just from being around them, you feel uninspired. You feel like you dead. You feel like someone is like overly smothering you in their energy and stuff like that. You feel like someone is clouding your judgment. So that's why it has that stink, that odor, and then no one want to be around them. You know what I'm saying? It's like that type of energy. Like you can tell though, it's like a spiritual thing, but we see it in reality just from, you know what I'm saying, us being around other people and individuals and stuff like that. And you can tell even if you don't know them like that. They create an aura. They create a vibe to where, oh, you sense that off of them just from you being around them in general. Oh, this person has a real dark vibe, or an isolating vibe, or they ain't trying to be around nobody type of vibe and stuff like that. An unrelatable type of vibe. They come off cold. They come off distant or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So like I was saying, it starts out very young. It starts off early. It starts off during, like, you know what I'm saying, because when you're young and when you're a baby and stuff like that, you come off way more spontaneous. So yeah, kids can be assholes, but at the same time, they're being in the most pure state of being, and they don't have that filter. You know what I'm saying? They're not watering themselves down. They're just purely being who they is and stuff like that. All them chakras are open. All their awarenesses is open and stuff like that. It's not like they're closed off. It's not like it's frozen into a pocket of time, and it's not a thing you have to thaw out or something like that. It's just them being a kid or them being a baby and stuff like that. They're not overthinking what they're doing. They're purely doing something based upon first experience, and it's more spontaneous. They ain't thinking of the external reference points and how it looks after the fact. That's why it's important to protect children. So protecting children in a reality base, but also protecting children when it comes to your mentalities and stuff like that. So your thoughts and feelings, your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. So look at that as like your baby ideas or your baby thoughts and them being abundant and stuff like that. So from them being abundant and it's more pure, you're able to take something that's abundant or something that's early in its stage of life or growth or development, and you able to put that first and then it ends up becoming last. Okay, you have to put it through a point A to B to C scenario to until it actually gets to its resolution or it gets to its conclusion. So that's it becoming an adult. That's what it starts to be mature. It starts to live a life of its own. It starts to, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like when artists and stuff like that, when they release their albums and stuff like that, in the way it ages over time and things of that nature, it ends up having a life of its own. All the songs have a life of its own. The hits, it start to resonate with different people or with a whole bunch of different interpretations and stuff like that. So it's like it's a walking person, even though it's just music, it's just someone else's creations, but it was able to create a whole bunch of different things spinning off of that. So people end up getting inspired by it, people end up mimicking or taking some type of you know what I'm saying, influence from it to create their own thing and give life to their own mentalities and stuff like that. So that's basically what we're doing. We're trying to broaden our awareness based upon knowledge and wisdom and learn from our different experiences, and then we're trying to have a release system when it comes to these things. But when you don't release them, it's going to lead to that live fast die young type mentality and things of that nature, right? To where you end up doing a whole bunch of things, but you was never able to make them mature. You was never able to actualize the potential of it. You was never actually, you know what I'm saying? You never went into the deep essence into why you do it. You're just doing shit. So from you just doing shit, but you ain't adding a whole bunch of nuance or substance behind it, and you're not trying to understand the development and the growth that you had from it, it just leads to a whole bunch of different degenerate shit. But I'm gonna get there though. But yeah, you being young just means you being something like you doing something that's more pure or young or childlike or like fruitful and is ripe. So it's like a fruit that hasn't worn and torn and got old yet and stuff like that. It's still healthy to eat and stuff like that. That's why it's important to actually let out these different mentalities or let out these different things before it actually becomes, you know what I'm saying, like dried up. So look at that as like when you start to become older, 30, 40, it's not to say you still ain't going to do things, but it's going to make it harder for you to do certain things because the fact you're getting older, so you can't do it as efficiently as you could when you was younger. But the whole point in general when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, like going through some type of growth and development is you start out being new and being in renewal and fresh and pure and immature and childlike and fruitful, but it's eventually gonna turn into you being more mature, you gaining more experience, it becoming more old. But it's gonna start to show how far you was able to go with that thing because you're continuing it, you're keeping it going, you're in a mechanism. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a dawn till dusk. You having an offspring, and the only reason that offspring or that seed actually became a parent or actually became a tree and made a part of the Garden of Eden, if it became fruitful and stuff like that, is based upon how you parent it. So based upon how you took care of that seed, of that offspring, of that baby boy and girl, that baby thought and idea and feeling emotion, the Adam and the Eve and stuff like that. So you was able to germinate the seed and flower it like a esoteric springtime, the way the actual mechanisms happens in real life, and then it was able to go through a fall time and stuff like that. It starts to wither, it starts to get dead and deteriorated and more distant and stuff like that. So living more young is doing something more personal or close to you based upon the state of being that it basically is in, and how you observed it and how you birthed it and how you created it. And then the fall time is like you going through that death or you expiring or it only living for a certain point in time. So it's starting to go through that fall time, and right before that it's harvest season. So you have to harbor all these different mentalities that you gave life to, and then now they're starting to become more mature and old. But the whole point in general is to become more mature, is to actually get older. That's why I said, based upon the disclaimers, when it comes to which I learned based upon Walt Disney and goddamn Warner Bros. And like Lionsgate and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Shit you be seeing on TV and movies and how to live y'all life. they be making y'all live in reverse. They be making y'all live backwards. They're not actually gonna give you like the actual essence behind shit because it has a agenda behind it, because they trying to make their business and they trying to make their money. They're gonna have aspects of it pertaining to life in many different facets. It's not just entertainment, business, religion, politics, education, culture. They're gonna have those seeds in there, but they're not gonna give you like the raw or the most purest or the most spiritual essence behind it. They're not gonna actually give you the real substance behind it. They're gonna gentrify it or make something synthetic, like some corn out of a can, instead of you actually picking corn out of a field. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna add some additives to it, the same way how they add additives to preserve food and stuff like that. It's not the pure essence of what that is. It has additives behind it. It did grow naturally, but it's additives to preserve it, to make it last longer, but it's going to make it more GMO. It's going to make it more synthetic. So it's not that pure cocaine and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that pure drug. It's not actually going to help you as much as you think you is. And it's going to have all these extra side effects because it's not the pure essence of what it is. Because all those pills and stuff like that, it came from actual organic things you find on the different trees and leaves and stuff like that. They just made it a pharmaceutical in things of that nature. So it can help, but it's gonna be over the counter. It's not something you going outside and you actually plucking from the natural natures of it. You actually getting it over the counter in a pharmacy like Walgreens and CVS and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So when something is going through its early stages, it's just you making it be born and developing it. And then as it gets mature and becomes older, it starts to lessen. Now, from it lessening, I'm basically saying it starts to become more effortless, right? When you first started, you probably was way more nervous. It probably took longer for you to get back into that same space again. You know what I'm saying? Because you just learning these skills, these abilities and stuff like that, right? That's like you like starting to learn how to play football and stuff like that. You gonna stumble and fall, not catch the ball, not even know how to throw the ball and put your fingers in the right lines and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Know how to have the right maneuvers to not get tackled and stuff like that, to not get hurt as bad as somebody else, or how to actually tackle somebody to make it so they ain't gonna get up again and stuff like that. So you actually a really good defensive lineman and things of that nature. The first couple times you're gonna end up stumbling and falling, but the more you keep on going and you ain't letting that stop you, it's gonna make you mature and develop and gain more experience to where you start lessening the load of how much expectation, or listening the load of how much you're inexperienced. So it becomes more lighter in weight. So it's not as heavy. It is way more, you know what I'm saying? Like you gain more effortless type of energy. Like, oh yeah, I could do that with less. Like it don't even take me all that, because I didn't find my little tricks to get better at that ability in things of that nature, compared to the pure state of being of how I was when I first started. When I first started, like it was way more pure, but at the same time, it's like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was kind of just doing shit, and then people just start to appeal to whatever I was doing based upon I was figuring out fresh. Like I was figuring out my abilities of how to do that just early on. I was just being a kid and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that type of thinking. It's like that type of thinking. So just in general, from being in that dying young mentality, when you stay stuck there, right, you never actually was able to go farther with it. So at that point, that's all they got. And then people try to give grace because they'll look at it like, oh, well, the motherfucker ended up dying young, or, oh, the motherfucker, like he did a lot during his life, even though for how young he is and things of that nature. But at the same time, they like, damn, they never actually got to become older and mature. They never even was able to have kids. Oh, they never was able to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like see, like, their parents get old or actually develop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they miss certain aspects of life and stuff like that because they died out prematurely and things of that nature. Now, when you actually feed more into this energy, that's you making your lifespan end up lessening even quicker and things of that nature. You don't know how to be in your youthful type of energy, so you end up getting older faster. So you end up being like in your early 20s just like me, but your ass look like you fucking 40 and stuff like that, because it's like a mechanism. This is something you doing internally first. So it's based upon a spirit, mind, body concept. So it's what your spirit is doing, aka the space that you in or the state of being that you in, and you end up emanating, germinating. You end up making different mentalities because you can't stop thinking and you can't stop feeling the way you feel about things. But you're gonna observe it though. So based upon that that observation point in the natural essence of what it is, you observing those thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions based upon what you're paying attention to, aka the awareness, and you start to attract different energies based upon what you're paying attention to. So from you being in that mentality for so long, it starts to build that adrenaline and blood flow into your flesh, which makes your organs, and then it actually starts to result into how your organ is going to replenish itself. And if you think in that more degenerate state of being, or that dying off prematurely type of energy, you end up actually starting to die prematurely. So it's like you don't even know why. It's like you end up getting all these random diseases and stuff like that. Oh, your blood flow ain't working right. Oh, your blood tissues and stuff like that end up becoming strained or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Getting like arthritis or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't even know why. And then the doctor's gonna end up explaining because of this, that, and the third. You got to take these pills to actually soothe the pain, and they're gonna say some whole other shit. But really, it's you doing that to yourself just because you in that mentality. Because I know a lot of people, based upon that living fast, dying young type mentality, that comes from a lot of rock stars. So based upon them thinking in a rock star mentality, okay, just listen to their lyrics, Ozzy Osbourne and all that type shit, and the type of things they actually be talking about. Oh, I'm trying to be a rock star. So a star is just a celestial body at a luminous point. So it's a light point. So the lighter shape of form before it becomes the flesh, aka your light body, your first body, is your mentality. And you actually want to be seen in a certain way. So based upon it being a celestial body, it's a heavenly body. The heavens just means the abode of God. God just means all possibilities. So the abode of how to have my own atmosphere. So the atmosphere is just the sphere at most, the word at most. So you having your own world, your own worldview, your own perspective of how to go about things, but you're turning it into a rock. So a rock comes from the ground. It comes from mountains and stuff like that. So it has something to do with earth. Earth is terrestrial, so it has something to do with the physical. It has something to do with the material. It has something to do with the flesh, right? All the way down to grounding something. So even if it ain't coming into, because I'm an earth sign, so even if it has nothing to do with it being actually materialized into the flesh and things of that nature, okay, you're trying to ground something. You're trying to have some mental fortitude and things of that nature. You're trying to come hard. You're trying to come heavy. You're trying to make it condensed. You're trying to make it compressed. You get what I'm saying? You're trying to actually ground that energy into reality in some way, shape, and form, to the point it actually makes reference to reality or the external world. So from them being a rock star, they like to take their mentalities from a lighter perspective, and they like to make them hard. They like to make it heavy. But considering they are a rock star, they could end up going too hard about that. So a lot of the things that they're the star or walking representation of, or the walking cross of us bearing witness of, just in general, right, is going to be a lot of degenerate things. So things dealing with the earth, things dealing with the flesh, things dealing with the external world. But they end up getting lost into that world, and they only the star representation of the flesh. So they end up getting more lost into the flesh, into the external world, and then they don't know how to develop their mentalities, and they don't have no spirit either. So even the things they're creating is going to end up being degenerate. So look at degenerate as low-hanging fruit. It's not going to be abundant. It's not going to be everlasting or eternal type of things. But based upon rock stars and how they are on TV and stuff like that, they look at that as a good thing. But a lot of them motherfuckers end up dying because of drugs or dying prematurely and stuff like that, just from them leading into that mentality. And then they end up leading y'all into that mentality, and then y'all end up wondering why y'all end up getting into what y'all into and stuff like that. And then later down the line, when you look back, you just like, oh damn, I was doing a lot of degenerate shit when I was younger. That's why, motherfucker, because of stuff like this. Like, so it ends up going through a death. It ends up going through something that's temporary. You know what I'm saying? It only existed for a certain point in time. So it's not something that's going to be born again. It's not going to be something spiritual. It's not going to be something based upon the overall space. And the only world that they in has something to do with this world. They never actually made their own mentality. They never actually had their own worldview. All they doing is reacting and responding and making their own perceptions of what they already see within the world and try to be more a part of it, instead of, you know what I'm saying? Like, instead of it working through you, instead of God working through you, right? You end up working, the only thing you're going to see is it working for you or working against you, when it's not that. It's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only way you're going to gain more awareness and wisdom and stuff like that. You have to understand it's not something being for you or against you. It just works through you. So from life going through the different ups and downs and things of that nature, right? Sometimes you're gonna be positive, sometimes you're gonna be good natured, sometimes you're gonna be on a high, and then you're gonna go through the depression. You have to go through the lows, but it's a balance though. You have to go through the pain to get to the pleasure, or go through the pleasure to get to the pain and stuff like that. You need that opposite, or that you need that adversary, you need that Satan, you need that devil, you need that angel versus the demon mentality and stuff like that. You need that yin to the yang. You know what I'm saying? You need the internal to the external. You know what I'm saying? Like, You need as above, so below, as within, so without, the internal realm, and then externalizing it, and then doing it all over again and stuff like that. So it's like a mechanism, it's like a process. It's just y'all getting stuck into one process. Oh, dying young. You not trying to get old. You're not trying to mature. You're not trying to become more experienced. And it comes in many different shapes, forms, and fashions and stuff like that. So you end up not being youthful and being childlike, you end up being childish and immature as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, not immature in a way of, oh, they're inexperienced. Like, immature in a way of, oh, like some peaked in high school type of energy. You never grew up for real. You still stayed in that one mentality because you're trying to be in that forever young type that forever young type mentality, which, yeah, that's true, but it's like forever youthful, not being childish as fuck. Like being in your childlike natures and wonders, and you still trying to build on that and trying to create more and try to make new children and gain more experiences behind something. And experiences be mental first, and experiences ain't gonna happen unless you observe something. So you have to observe something in a certain way to have more experiences in the external world. Not, oh, I'm having more experiences in the external world, and then that makes it so. That makes it so, because a lot of y'all be getting lost into the flesh and the external world way too much. And it's like, y'all have to understand it's a mentality or a spiritual thing or a creative thing first. You have to create something like that in the mind. You have to create that essence of what that means to you first, the meaning and reasoning behind why you do it. And then it results into the external world, not the other way around. That's how y'all get lost into that mentality of, oh, the spirit is the mind, when it's not that. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is no shape or form. It's not the spirit is the mind. No, the spirit creates the mind, not the mind is the everlasting thing, and the only reason the spirit exists is because of the mind. Like, no. Like, mentalities can die out. You know what I'm saying? The flesh dies out. It's only going to live for a certain point in time. We can live it the best way we can and stuff like that. But the only thing that's going to be everlasting is something spiritual, is something creative, is based upon an observation point. And based upon the observation point is based upon you observing the thoughts and the feelings about it. You know what I'm saying? You looking at all the different experiences, but you choosing what experiences you want to actually actualize, the things you actually want to, you know what I'm saying, make abundant, the things you actually want to manifest and materialize, so to speak. So when y'all get lost into the external world and the flesh, and then you think, oh, the more money I make, or the more I'm part of the external world, that means something. It really don't mean shit. It's like y'all get lost into material success when success isn't really that. Success is based upon you having a better result. So it's like you getting better at that ability. So once you learn how to do that, even if you get money from it, you're going to be able to utilize it better because you just want to get better at the ability itself. Not you getting better when it comes to how much money you got and how much records you sold and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And it being number one on the charts because of this, that, and the third. Like someone else, like someone ain't create the chart. You know what I'm saying? It's not your chart. No, someone had to create that chart. And you trying to be part of someone else's metrics or statistics. Why can't you just make a new metric, a new statistic that we ain't never seen before? You know what I'm saying? It's way more abundant. It's way more creative. It's like you get lost into like a monetary game. You can make all that money, but when you die, you can't take none of that shit with you. So what does that say that's actually important? It's not to say there's nothing wrong with money or something based upon the flesh and things of that nature. It's just y'all get too lost into the external world, into the flesh, into the external point of reference and point of view, and then y'all end up receiving it in that way, and you never actually expand. You never actually have your own perception or perspective about something. You're just receiving what you're already being receptive about, and then you think it's some new perception when really it ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's really not. You never thought outside the box. You still in the box. It's just you probably banging out the door and you trying to get outside the box, but you never got that. You never got that spectrum. You never got that mind frame. You never went outside the box. You never actually put yourself in some fresh energy. You never actually expanded. You kept condensing, and then you think that condensing is expansion because you were so condensed so long and you got into a comfort zone, and then you think, oh, okay, because I'm in this comfort zone and I was able to make my own little, you know what I'm saying, sector in this little arena, I'm outside the arena. No, you're not outside the arena. You still in the arena. You never expanded further than that magnitude. You never went outside the box. You never went outside the arena. You still in the magic square. You still in the paradigm, bitch. Oh God. You still in the paradigm. You still in the paradigm. You never switched the paradigm. You never was in the matrix. I mean, you never was able to get outside the matrix. You still in the matrix. You still in the program. You still in the code. You didn't figure out how to get out the program. You didn't figure out how to crack the code, nigga. Not for real. Not for real. Not for real. But just in general, right? Back to like the rock star energy, right? So from y'all being lost into that rock star energy, that's basically what you playing out. Oh, that live fast, die young type mentality and stuff like that. And then you ain't even trying to see the beauty of actually getting old. So that's when you actually start to get the real essence behind something and learn. So from you being the elder or you getting older is only going to teach the people of the new generation or whatever, right? Of how to go about it in a new and better way. And then you end up learning from them. See, the best teachers are the ones who still students in a way. Like they still able to learn something from their students because they're teaching them some new shit. And then the students can learn from the teacher based upon them being the elder and they've been doing it longer. So they like, oh, okay, you supposed to do it like this. And this is the reason why we do it. So it's like upholding our tradition, but still having that secret energy behind it, not making it a secret, it being sacred and protected and making a safe haven for it, but still able to make it more abundant and add some new type of energy to it, but it's still upholding the tradition in some shape or form. You get what I'm saying? So it's not you rejecting some old head ass niggas, but at the same time, you're not rejecting the youth and what they're trying to create. And it's gonna make that fine balance. It's just y'all be looking at that mentality of, oh, it's the new niggas doing this, and they the new niggas doing this, and it's out the old in with the new. Oh, this is the new shit, and this is what the young niggas doing. But the young niggas wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't an ancestor to that. If it wasn't a predecessor, if it wasn't a forerunner and stuff like that, there would be no such thing as that without that. Not no. Oh, it's what the new niggas doing, so we just have to move with the new niggas, and we have to get out of our old outdated ass ways, our old outdated ass ways and stuff like that. Like there's nothing wrong with y'all ways per se. It's just you have to adapt with what's going on now. But the new niggas need to understand you wouldn't be able to do that now without the old niggas. So it needs to be a fine balance. So that's how, oh, the child can learn from the parent, but the parent can learn from the child. The teacher can learn from the student can learn from the teacher. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all teaching yourselves. It's like an each one teach one type of energy. Like y'all both learning from each other. So you know what I'm saying? Like the young niggas can help the old niggas with the youthful energy, and the old niggas can help the young niggas with the elder predecessor, the forerunner energy of how to be the pioneer, how to be the forerunner, but do it in the new generation way, the new system type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still part of the old, it's still part of the system, but it's like you added more abilities, you added more technologies and stuff like that. You added more kinks, you added more, you know what I'm saying? Productiveness. You added more engineering that's more up to date and stuff like that, but it's still upholding the same practices and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's not even that complicated. It really ain't. It really ain't that complicated. But based upon that living fast, dying young, rockstar mentality, it make y'all rebellious and wild. So it make y'all act like a stray animal and stuff like that. So it's like an animal you see in the wild, right? So it makes them act more barbaric or degenerate or undomesticated or uncivilized. So from you being more unconventional or you being rebellious and wild and stuff like that, is you acting based upon drastic change or extremes. So it's like some Uranus type of energy if this was astrology. But based upon it being more rebellious and wild, it's going to be less domesticated. So from it not being domesticated, it's not civilized. So it's not you being a civilized gentleman or whatever, if you want to pull that type of allegory. But point being is, right, it's going to be way more wild and barbaric, and it's not condensed, it's not controlled, it's not ordered, it's not civilized, it's not done in moderation, it's not, you know what I'm saying, it's unpredictable, it's all over the place, it's not organized, it's not, you know what I'm saying, it's not putting into proper order into the relatable mechanism to make it so it's a productive machine and stuff like that. It's all out of order, it's all, you know what I'm saying, like it's all over the place and stuff like that. So from it being all over the place, you end up being out of your goddamn mind. And from you being out of your goddamn mind, you just look like a fucking crazy person. You just look deranged and stuff like that. You don't know how far the range of how you're able to go with something, because you end up doing one thing and then doing the whole complete opposite. You end up being bipolar and stuff like that. You end up doing one thing and end up contradicting yourself and going away from the thing you was just doing. And these that nature, like, you don't know if you coming or going. And shit like that. You don't know if you coming or going. You don't know if you about to die, you about to live. You living to die, you dying to live. Like, you can't get out of it. But like, point being is, that's that mentality when it comes to that live fast, die young. rock star type mentality, which leads to you being more rebellious and wild and just degenerate or low hanging fruit. And you get lost into the temporal, deathly state of being, and you end up, you know what I'm saying? You end up expiring before you even reach the maximum of that potential because you keep on killing yourself prematurely. So it's like being abandoned, or you stopping something instead of you keep going and continuing that thing. You stopped it prematurely. You stopped it before it can even get to the full. You know what I'm saying? So it's like blue balling yourself and stuff like that. You never actually got to that you never actually released it. You never ejaculated. You never came. You never went where you said you was gonna go. You never actually manifest and materialize of you accomplishing that dream. You got halfway there and then you just gave the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, it just leads back to that definitely type of mentality to where you never expanded. You never got more substance. You never got into the overall state of being. You only got like a piece of it, but you didn't get the whole pie type shit. You got a piece of the cake, but you ain't the whole cake. You never got the sweetness. You never got the nectar. You know what I'm saying? You never got the nectar and shit like that. So you never cleared it up, and you didn't make it more charming or alluring. It's just it got more clouded up. And from it getting clouded up, you end up having a spiritual stench or odor, and it ends up making it more unrelatable and making people not want to be around you and making people not inspire and want to produce it too. It leads to something that's more unproductive, and you self-sabotaging yourself because you never put yourself first. You end up putting all those different facets and things first, and then you end up killing the whole mentality itself before it even became an adult, before it became mature, before it even became something of gold or value and stuff like that that's abundant, that can last a really long time. And it was more on a higher frequency. So the frequent ability to actually being able to keep on doing it over and over, you was only able to do it to a certain point in time. So it's like writer's block and stuff like that. You end up getting so much writer's block to where you end up stop producing that same amount of songs and stop writing and stuff like that and stop being inspired and things of that nature, because you only looked at it in a certain spectrum, and then that spectrum had a certain limitation of how far it could go without realizing your spirit is limitless. So from you being in that limitless freeing state of being and stuff like that, you wasn't really living free. You kept on putting that freeness into a container, and you got lost into the container. You never was able to make the container bigger or clear out the room and clear out the space to make it so you can keep creating inside that container. You just kept on like esoterically hoarding that container until the whole thing filled up and now the shit overflowing. You know what I'm saying? So this is why it's important to actually live your life with maximum passion, youthful freedom, understanding the space that you in, aka your soul, aka your individual space, and able to adapt to other people's mentality. So the spirituality or the actuality of all our different spaces together, and you it's basically like you being yourself in front of a million people, because you got your own world and worldview and stuff like that, and then people could be a part of your world, and then you can make your world a part of you was able to make your word up out of other people's world, and then to make the dream work, and then we able to actualize our dreams, and we able to produce and create this new type of goal, and it's going to be each one teach one. Or everyone is going to be able to freely express their free will, freely able to actualize their capabilities and talents and abilities. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's always gonna be a fulfilling type of thing. Oh, everyone's able to have their own little lane. Everyone's able to have their own little pocket and stuff like that. Not no aristocrat elite. Oh, it's only the exclusive amount of people can do this and stuff like that. And we're gonna be in this hierarchy type of mentality to where uh uh man, what they call that, like plutocracy, basically, like some plutocracy, like only these motherfuckers can do that because we high class, and then y'all low class motherfuckers, y'all can't do it because y'all lower in class, y'all poor because y'all don't got our type of money and stuff like that, when really spiritually speaking, esoterically speaking, or the more relatable way of how to look at it, there is no high or low class and stuff like that. No, we all middle class, we all on the same playing field, we all on the same level, all the way down to, that's why motherfuckers be all like, man, we both human, we bleed the same and stuff like that. It's like that type of mentality. Like, what make you better than me? What make you more superior than me? Just because, yeah, you had your own way of living, you got your own lineage, and you have your own, you know what I'm saying, line of what made you you, and y'all own traditions, y'all own customs, y'all own spiritual system and stuff like that, y'all own culture. But what make you better than me just because you got that? I got my own thing of how I do that with my people and stuff like that. And then we could probably find some way to make it more relatable to connect. Why you want to make it so like we gonna end up harming each other, or you're gonna make it like some extreme, exaggerated type of thing, some childish shit, some low-hanging fruit to make it harder for other motherfuckers to be put in that position. You know what I'm saying? Based upon like some hierarchy type mentality. Oh, I'm trying to be the government. Oh, I'm trying to be the ruling mentality. No, why can't you just make a mentality to where a motherfucker could be in government, or You know what I'm saying? A motherfucking can be in ruling for that particular thing, and then you can set up a system to make it so they can do that. Not some hating type of energy of, oh, we're gonna lay down the law and stuff like that. Even though y'all be acting like godly laws don't exist. That's a whole different video. That's a whole different video, bro. That's a whole different video. Y'all be acting like godly laws don't exist. Just look at God like all possibilities, like the possibility of it being created in a whole different way. So based upon those godly laws, it's gonna be based upon something that's way more abundant and productive, not no low hanging fruit synthetic GMO shit. So it's based upon something that's gonna be constant and can happen every day, not no thing that's gonna happen every blue moon and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Something that can actually be a part of the universe to where we can all unify ourselves together, not someone else trying to be in a whole different world and mind frame and worship them like they God. Yeah, like worshiping them like they God. Because the minute you start getting into that idol worship deity type mentality, because y'all been looking at God like a deity, it's just you deifying something. So from you deifying something, it has to descend. So based upon it descending, oh, there was like an entity, a thing in existence, and then they descended into a certain mentality, and then it got lost into, I mean, it liked to self-serve instead of being of service. So based upon, like I was saying before, the different ups and downs of life and stuff like that, right? You're gonna go through the ups and downs, the lows and the highs, and it's not something that's going for you or against you, it's going through you. So you have to go through the journey itself of sometimes it's gonna go in your favor and then sometimes it's not. But from you being in that balanced perspective of understanding that either if it goes your way or not, you're gonna keep on staying on that line and keep going where you trying to go based upon you trying to you know what I'm saying, get to the promised land, or you know what I'm saying, actualizing your destiny, you know what I'm saying, living in your purpose or something like that. I'm just trying to make examples in things of that nature to make it make sense. That's when you start to get what you deserve, not based upon monetary gain, not based upon something that's temporary or some low-hanging fruit, or you know what I'm saying, like anything of that nature and stuff like that. You living in your truth. So doing something that's more resonant and true to you, from you actually going through the process and going through the journey itself, and you not being pigeonholed to the expectation of what you thought of how it was going to go down and stuff like that. You able to still pivot regardless if it goes with you or against you. You still going to keep on doing that thing in the first place. It's because you got way more creativity. You got way more spirituality behind you. You have more substance behind you. You have more spiritual backing behind you. You have way more soul behind it. You trying to build a world behind it. You ain't going to make something just to get lost and make it a part of the world. You just trying to have your own world, and then other people can be a part of it. You get it? Like, man, that shit go deep as fuck. It go deep, bro. So it's you actually being free, carefree, and stuff like that. And your lifestyle is going to show that. So you can able to be in a multitude of different spaces. And then when a person try to condense you into one space or an expectation or one mentality or one way how to go about something, it's going to be really hard to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a natural type of thing. Like, the more you try to pigeonhole them into a narrative or an agenda, or to, you know what I'm saying? Or like a psyop, like make them look a certain way. It's going to be hard to make someone who's a real free spirit to do that, because they put these spaces in, they put their space, their world, in a whole bunch of different spaces and worlds, and they're able to adapt and pivot regardless if it goes with them or against them. So it's like them being the star. So from them being the celebrity or them being the star and them being the walking emanation of what something look like, and they're gonna keep going with that, and and things of that nature, and they ain't gonna get bogged down or depressed just from not everyone liking them. To be liked just in general, you have to go through the process of being hated, of not being liked. But that's when you start to figure out what you do and don't like. So it makes it so, oh, you end up finding your true state of being, and then you don't get it caught up in the narrative. You don't get caught up in the lies. You don't get caught up in the illusion. So it's when you start to learn how to be one of a kind. But to be one of a kind, you have to start to realize what you not one of. So from you figuring out what you not one of, you start to figure out, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like you start to find your own little lane, your own little pocket that not everyone else is doing. You know what I'm saying? You can find your particular mannerism, your particular behavior, your subjective point of view, your way of how you do it. And that's just your way. And then people can follow your way. But it's just a thing of, I don't care if people follow me or not, but I know how to lead the charge of this direction of doing it, because I find my way of doing it. And then I was able to make it relative to where it can look inspiring. And someone else could be a part of it, and someone else could do it too. You know what I'm saying? Each one teach one type of energies and stuff like that. So that's the thing that's actually going to be essential. When you actually find the essence behind the natural natures of yourself, instead of you self-sabotaging and trying to die young, and actually build upon that abundance to where you actually can be in that elder type position and help the young niggas and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a spiritual thing, and then it turns into a mentality, and then it turns into a thing of you being a walking example, and then it turns into how we look at it in the flesh. It's just people think about it in the most backwards way ever. They be thinking, oh, just because, like, you know, they a real nigga. You know, you around someone who actually has some real essential important qualities about them, and they actually mature, because they ain't gonna be in that old ass hater ass spirit and stuff like that. You old as fuck, doing the same shit, doing the same things. You ain't change up, you ain't switch up, you ain't never tried to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't never tried to make something of yourself and stuff like that. You never tried to create something of yourself or nothing and stuff like that. You just got lost into the world, and you end up dying and killing yourself because you end up receiving into something instead of actually trying to have your own perspective and perception and making it a part of the world, and then people can receive your way of how to do it. And that's it. Like, any nigga who actually on some real nigga shit and they get respect and they like an OG and stuff like that, right, based upon what they done cultivated for themselves, they have no issue giving game and showing people how to be like them and stuff like that. Like they show them their ways of what they did based upon their experiences, so that person can make their own cup. Not they trying to give game and make them motherfucker look at them like they God and you want to be here without me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like some ego type of energy and stuff like that. And I'm gonna hang this over you and stuff like that because you can't do the shit without me because of this and the third. No, they have no problem giving that away so they can show them how to make their own cup and fulfill their own space so they could do it. So they could do it and probably do it better without them and stuff like that. Like, they showing them the path of how to do it, but I can bring you to the water, but you got to be the one to drink. You have to make your own cup. You know what I'm saying? You have to fulfill it. You have to fill your own cup. So I can show you how you could do it in a similar way of how I did it, but I'm going to show you how to do it on your own. So after I'm dead and gone, or when you end up developing your own shit, you can just do that without me and stuff like that, because you still gonna have your own particular way of how to do it, but I showed you game. You know what I'm saying? Each one teach one, on God. So it's like, yeah, like you keeping up that tradition and stuff like that, but you leaving room based upon it being sacred to make that tradition keep being upheld and stuff like that, because we want to look at it like it's a tradition or a custom or like a practice that actually has some abundance behind it without that. You know what I'm saying? Because motherfuckers are keeping the shit going in their own little particular ways and stuff like that. So, yeah. Like it'd be important to actually be more mature, more spiritually mature, and become more of the spiritual adult. Not you become an adult in the flesh, but you still act like a kid spiritually. You know what I'm saying? You ain't actually trying to expand the space. You ain't trying to express. You ain't trying to build. You ain't trying to create more. You trying to only create on that particular playground, but you never go outside that playground or try to make the playground bigger. You stay in the sandbox. You stayed, you know what I'm saying? You stayed in that box. You stayed in the sandbox. You stayed on the playground, and only kids like playing on playgrounds and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You never actually try to figure out how to make your own playgrounds and shit. You didn't figure out how to make a enterprise or make a business of making playgrounds to make it more recreational, to make more shit. You know what I'm saying? To recreate that pocket of time so you can keep on making more. You just want to stay in that pocket of time, in that memory, instead of making more memories of something building upon you having that one memory of you doing that one time when you was a kid on a playground and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just making allegories to make that shit make sense in a witty type of way and stuff like that. But that's what happens when you are actively trying to die young. You end up self-sabotaging yourself from dying prematurely, and you end up being in that live fast, die young, rock star mentality and things of that nature, and you never learn how to be more mature spiritually and actually become a more spiritual adult and just expand your creations, expand your abilities, expand the space that you're in, and it's going to basically come off in a way of you expanding your mind about something. You know what I'm saying? From you expanding your mind about something, you end up having more of an awareness, and from you having more of an awareness, you're able to attract other motherfuckers who can build on who can help build on your awareness and stuff like that. So you're gonna be able to create more, not you creating less and get esoteric writer's block or esoterically aborting your thoughts and ideas and never actualizing your potential. You end up getting lost into the potential of it could be something, but you never be in the thing of what you could be, and then that's it.